Welcome. I'm so happy you decided to join us on this crazy ride. And if you've been following me over here, then guess what that means? You're an OG, baby. Yes, you are. Today I bring you a story time. It is a very hard story time for me to talk about. As a matter of fact, I have been delaying putting this video up for a while. This is also my third time recording this video. Don't ask. Hot Mess Express. Choo, choo. Sorry, I'm just trying to create some positive vibes in the atmosphere because this story is very emotionally draining for me to talk about because it still haunts me to this day. And before I get started, my husband at some point will be coming in on this video to also put his input on it because he has a lot to do with this story. I don't want you to look at him any other way. We both know we fucked up, just to put it lightly or bluntly. So yeah, this is going to be the story time about how DCS got involved in my life for a second time. Let's get into it. Okay, so the thing about me is pain pills were my drug of choice. However, once, twice, sometimes 3 times a month, I would find myself doing Xanaxes. And in the beginning, I had taken them the way I was supposed to be taking them or whatnot. But after a period of time of taking them, obviously I was taking more and more. But this was my rule. When my kids were at home, I was not to take Xanaxes like that. But when they went to their dad's, I would. Well, then as my addiction grew and I started liking Xanaxes more, it got to the point where I wouldn't do a bunch of them unless they were at their dad's, or I might take a little bit more after they've went to bed, but not so much to where I was abbreviated or whatever, and couldn't get up the next day or something like I would if they were at their dad's house. Well, I was supposed to have been clean. If you didn't know, DCS had already been in my life one time before, and I got my kids back within 4 months. I didn't stay clean very long after getting them back. Honestly, I only got clean so I could get them back. So, you know, I thought that this time I could have it under wraps and I could control it. You can't control addiction. It gets out of hand really fast and it will spin you into a downward spiral real quick like. So there is no control in your addiction. And with me, there is no gray area. It's one extreme or another. And when I fuck up good. So, you know, I look back on a lot of the things I did using and it blows my mind because I would never have done them things sober, and it disgusts me. A lot of things I still think about on a daily basis, but I cannot let my past define me or I will have no future. So, I hadn't even been clean a year at this point. As a matter of fact, I started using months before DCS got back in my life the second time. So, you know, so it's like this. I'm going to explain it the best I can. Like I said, this is really hard for me to talk about and especially to put out to the world, but I'm hoping maybe if someone hears my story that it will prevent them from making the same mistakes, or maybe if someone has been through something like this, it gives them someone to relate to let them know that they're not the only ones that fucked up very bad during their addiction. I don't know, maybe it can help somebody in some way, but it doesn't make it any easier. It's like a very hard story for me to talk about. So, okay, so by the time DCS got in my life for a second time, I had already had the kids back for a year at this point. a little over a year, but I had already been using months prior. My husband was going to a pain doctor, and he was getting a script of Roxy's because he does have severe back issues. So he really does need them for his pain. He's always in pain. And now to this day, because I'm clean, he will not go to a pain doctor. Therefore, he stays in constant pain. But he is also one of them sociable users. So he would use in a social setting, but he was the type of person that could use and not even look back at it if he didn't want to. I was the addict in the relationship. So he was getting Roxy's from his pain doctor as well as Xanaxes, which my husband didn't do Xanaxes. He hadn't for years at this point because he just didn't like the way they made him feel. So I would get those, and I would sell some of them, and I would keep some of them for myself. Now, when my kids were at home, like I said, I would only take a couple of them after they went to bed. So one night, he has went to his doctor, the pain doctor. I can't remember if it was that day or the day before. It was something like that. And we had gotten our tax money back as well. And so my kids go to bed for the night. And so I can take my couple of Xanaxes now that they're in bed, right? And my daughter wakes up about 10 or 11, something like that, wanting a Happy Meal. And my son, of course, follows behind her and wants a Happy Meal. And I did this thing a lot where in my addiction, I would, when my kids wanted something or something, I would guilt myself. Like, I'd be like, okay, well, you're an addict and you spend money on this, this, and that. So if your kids want this, then you are to get it for them. I don't know if what I just said makes sense, but that's just how things work for me. It's just like when they had to go stay with their dad and stuff while I was trying to get clean. Both of the times that DCS was involved, I would guilt myself a lot because they had to stay with him and things like that. So, you know, I'm like, we just got this tax money back. Here I am, you know, getting what I want, getting high. So if my kids want a Happy Meal, damn it, they're going to get a Happy Meal. It's right down the road. I asked my husband if he'll drive. I can't drive. I've already taken Xanax for the night. I can't get behind a wheel. My husband, though, who does not take Xanaxes, can. He knows how against I am being under Xanaxes or anything like that and having kids in the car or driving, whatever. Which is the whole reason why I asked him to drive us, because I knew he was sober. I, however, was not, because I have already taken Xanax, which is a downer, so I'm not getting behind the wheel of a car. My husband was like, can't we do this tomorrow? I'm like, no, my babies want a Happy Meal, so they're going to get their Happy Meal. So he agrees to take us. So now this is the time I'm going to let my husband step in, and I'm going to let him also explain it I'm going to explain how it happened from my point, but then he's going to step in and tell you how it happened from his point of view. This is my husband, Tommy, if you do not know, and I know this is a little awkward for him because he's not used to being on camera, but he'll do just fine. So I asked him to drive us to McDonald's. He says, yeah, finally. But he didn't want to go at first. And we start packing up the kids and stuff. And the only thing I remember after that is being pulled out of the car by the cops. And I could hear my daughter screaming for me. And that is a sound that still haunts me to this day. But I'm going to let him explain what all happened.
Well, I had a Xanax laying on the arm of the couch, and she'd been trying to get me to eat one since earlier, and I kept refusing. She's like, come on, you don't ever have fun. I was like, because I didn't like them no ways. But then, so we were getting ready to leave, and the McDonald's really was only just a couple minutes down the road. I mean, literally a couple minutes down the road. And I thought, well, shit, I wasn't thinking at all, evidently, but I took the Xanax and we got in the car and got to the McDonald's and get in the drive-thru, and they're closed because it's midnight, and we should have never been there to begin with. But yeah, so I was like, we're going to go back home. And the kids started, oh no, Happy Meal, Happy Meal. And she's like, well, there's the other McDonald's. That's like 20 minutes away.
And mind you, he hadn't told me he took a Xanax.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about it because honestly, I figured I was going right there and then right back to the house within 10 minutes. And instead of just going back to the house like I should have, I listened to her and the kids, and we went to the other McDonald's. So we get to the McDonald's, go through the drive-thru because it's open 24 hours, get the kids Happy Meal, and the gas light comes on. I'm like, well, all right, let's go grab gas and we'll go back home. And so we go to the little gas station right over from the McDonald's, and I park at the pump and get out, go in and pay for gas. And obviously at that time, the Xanax kicked in, and I come back out to the car, and I sat down in the driver's seat, and didn't turn the car or nothing off. And next thing I know, I'm getting tapped on the face by the cops saying, wake up, wake up.
They yanked me out. That's me popping in again because I suck and I've messed up this whole story time. But if you're curious on what I was doing on the time my husband drove us to McDonald's, got to the gas station, all that, me and the kids fell asleep on the way to McDonald's. So when the police were grabbing me out of the car, I was being woke up out of a dead sleep. So yeah, I figured I better clarify that. Car.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because after that, after I paid for the gas and sat down, I didn't know. I just went to sleep. And when a cop wakes me up, they're pulling her out of the car and putting her in the back of the cop car. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And they put me in the back of the cop car with her, and then it was just a mess after that.
And he had his script on him. Why he took his script, I don't know. Why did you take her script with you? They gave it back to him, though, when they released us.
Everything was on count. It's not like we had abused it or anything like that. That's why they give it back, because everything...
At that time, we hadn't abused it yet.
But everything was right, except for the fact that I had taken the fucking Xanax before I left the house.
Yeah, he didn't tell me. If I would have known that he had taken a Xanax, I would have never let him behind that car with my babies. But I take responsibility because they are my kids. I am their mother. It's my job to protect them. And honestly, even if he is my husband, then he wasn't. I had been with him for 4 years, though. I guess I shouldn't have trusted him that much with my kids. I don't know, but I do blame myself.
She should have trusted me, but I let her down and the kids down because honestly, instead of just putting my foot down and going the hell home, I was trying to make the kids happy. But
I wish he would have just told me.
I know, but honestly, like I said, there was no thought process involved, I guess. Cause if the other McDonald's would have been open, we'd have been there and back home, and none of this shit would ever happen. But if I wouldn't have did it to begin with, it would have never happened. But once the other McDonald's was closed, I should have just put my foot down and went back home.
Yeah, and I wish he would have been like, hey, look, I got to get home because I took a Xanax. Because with my husband, he can fall asleep very easily. He can sit down, he gets still, he falls asleep. I've always wondered if he had narcolepsy. Therefore, if he takes a downer or something, it's 10 times worse. So if I would have known that, man, I swear on everything, I would not have let us get behind the wheel.
I know she wouldn't have, because I know for a fact she wouldn't have, because she harps about that to this day, and she don't even do drugs anymore. I mean, not harps that I did that behind the wheel, but about anybody doing anything like that behind the wheel.
Yeah, so we both
whether they got kids with them or not, because whether you got kids with you or not, somebody else might.
Yeah, you can take somebody else's life. So it's a harsh lesson. I will say this, my husband, since that happened, has not touched a Xanax since then.
I mean, nothing for nothing. I did put all of our lives at risk, plus other people's lives at risk, but I remember everything getting to the gas station, even going in and paying for the gas. I just never come back out and pump the gas. So I was coherent up to that point, but anything after that point, if I would have got gas and then left, that's probably when we would have been in trouble. So God actually did look out for us, even though I screwed up. Because once we left that gas station, obviously that's when the pill kicked in, and
luckily nothing worse happened.
Yeah, who knows what might have happened if God would let me left the gas station.
And that's something I don't even want to think about, because I don't even think about that. But, you know, the thing that haunts me the most is my kids seeing me getting ripped out of the car.
So, I mean, honestly, if Marissa or Skylar watches this, don't hold it against your mom, because I was the one that let you guys down. I mean, she didn't know. Yeah, but not like I did, because
we both messed up. It's both of our faults. You know what haunts me to this day also is my daughter, after I got them back and stuff, she said, I was trying to wake you up. I kept saying, Mommy, Tommy, wake up, wake up. And I was like, oh my God, that fucked me up. That fucked me up. And I could still hear her after the police is grabbing me out of the car, screaming for me, Mommy, Mommy. You know, that's the sound that constantly goes through my head every day. But that's neither here nor there.
So any people that, and especially her ex or anybody like that, I know you blame her for that shit, but when it comes down to it, 99.99% of that bullshit was my mess.
Yeah, but like I said, I should have just told the kids to let's wait until the morning. And
like I said, honestly,
I already felt like such a fuck up because I was in addiction again.
I understand that, and like I said, I should have just pissed everybody off and not went, and it would have resolved everything. But like you, I wanted the kids to be happy as well, and there was no thought process but that, and it wound up backfiring.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you said, it probably prevented other things from happening, like it's getting on the road. And so it's a sucky situation. I hate that my kids had to be put in that situation, and we both definitely learned from it. That's a fact. So thank you for being a part of the video and explaining it from your point.
So like I said, if I known this shit was going to happen, I'd just made everybody mad.
But good thing, like you said, at least we didn't pull out of the gas station, and maybe that was our saving grace, you know, getting
I know it was, because I remember everything clearly up until there.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was honestly, even though I had taken the pill, there was no danger between there and the gas station, because it was all evidently clear what I was doing and everything else. It's just by the time that I got to the gas station and went in, there shouldn't have been no leaving the gas station. And like I said, thank God that's what happened.
Yeah.
Even though what happened.
Yeah. But, you know, there's nothing we can do about it now. It's all already happened, you know. We can only learn from it.
Sorry, Marissa and Skylar, I let you guys down, and I know you didn't know this part of any of the story of what happened, but
I'm sorry too.
You can be mad at your mom, but all in all, she should have trusted me, and I let her down and you guys down, so that's my fault.
It's my fault too. And I'm sorry for ever letting y'all down by getting in the midst of addiction to begin with.
I didn't. Yeah. That's partially my fault as well, I suppose. Yeah. Instead of putting my foot down with that shit too, I didn't help the situation with that none too much. I tried, but not hard enough.
I didn't make it easy either, though. It was very, very resistant. Is that the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Hard-headed. Difficult to deal with. But yeah, y'all, so that is the story of how DCS got involved for the second time and the last time.
Yeah.
So
honestly, Marissa and Skylar, she's clean now and been clean for a long time. So you ought not let what other people say influence the way you think or feel. And if it does, then maybe you ought to find out for yourself.
Yeah, because we had a great relationship.
All of us did, honestly.
Yeah, before that, after that.
Yeah, I mean, even after that happened, we all had a good relationship until the BS started.
Yeah, and that's a fact. But I won't keep y'all here any longer. I try not to judge us too much. And if
Judge
anything,
me all you want. I know what I did was wrong, and there ain't much I can do to make up for it, but I'll try. I mean, what happened. I'm sure everybody's got something in their past that they go back and change.
And you know what's crazy? Before all this happened, I had heard stories of people who have fell asleep in their car with their children there. And I'm like, how the fuck can you as a parent do that? I'm sorry for cussing, but my page ain't monetized anyways. I'm like, how the fuck can you do that as a parent and stuff? And what I learned from that is that you might not want to judge a book by its cover, because you never know someone's story, and people do make mistakes, and sometimes they're worse than you would expect. So try to look at things from a different perspective, because nobody wants to be passed out in their car with their kids screaming in the back seat while the police come and rip you out of it. That's not something you'll want to happen.
Not one bit.
So if you can take anything away from this video, don't do drugs, because it's not going to fix your pain. It's going to cause a whole lot more pain.
Yeah, it's a temporary solution to a permanent problem.
That's right. So until next time, bye. Psych. I forgot to tell y'all, if you're not following me here on YouTube, what are you doing? Join the fam bam. Also hit that post notification bell so you never miss a beat. Also follow me on my TikTok platforms, which I will have tagged in the description. Yeah, so now until next time, bye. Just suck. I told y'all all of that and didn't even end it with how DCS got involved. Well, as you can imagine, once the police ripped us out of the car, took us to jail, DCS was called out there. They then called my ex out there and then sent the kids home with them. I'm not sure what all happened between that. If my ex had to do anything on his part besides just come get the kids, and they handled the rest in the morning. I'm really not sure, but yeah. Unfortunately, that's how DCS got involved. I figured I'd better say that real quick.